Okay, I think I'm live on both now. So good morning, welcome. I hope everyone's well. I've been really busy, which has been lovely. There's loads of stuff on our YouTube channel. I think I'm up to chapter 6, or it might be chapter 7 with Alice in Wonderland. And then everything that I'm doing on here goes on there too, which is nice. And I'm quite enjoying trying to slow down a little bit. It's not working very well at the moment. I hope everyone else is well. So I'm going to start with this story, which is really old. It's by Lydia Monks, who you probably know. But I don't know how well known it was at the time. It's called My Cat's Weird. And the reason that I've chosen it, I shall show you. Inside here it says, this book belongs to Holly. So Holly is my little girl, who is now 18. And she taught herself to read using this book because she was desperate to read, wanted to read more than anything in the world, wasn't very good at sitting still and listening, wasn't that keen on the whole phonics thing, and she basically taught herself how to read out of stubbornness using this book when she was about, I don't know, 3.5, 4 maybe, and she still knows it word for word now. Some 15 years later, so do I, funnily enough, because I heard it a lot. So here we go. My cat's weird. My cat's not like other cats. He's weird. He doesn't walk like other cats. He doesn't sit like other cats. He doesn't wash like other cats. He doesn't eat like other cats. He doesn't do the things that other cats do. When I pass him in the streets, I pretend I don't know him. My friends laugh at him. Their pets are normal. I wish mine was. What's he up to now? I'm keeping an eye on him. What's he doing in a hardware shop? Cats don't normally do DIY. What's he doing with all that rubbish? I'm going to tiptoe after him. I hear funny noises coming from the shed. What's going on? I'm going to find out. I creep closer and closer and closer. Bang! The shed door bursts open. My cat is flying an aeroplane. How weird is that? He grabs my arm, swings me up beside him, and we're off. Up, up, and away! Over the houses, over the town, and far, far away. Where are we going? Where is my cat taking me? I see giraffes, zebras, and elephants. With a bump, 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 we land. My cat's cousins have come to meet us. We sit under a tree and have tea and cake. All too soon, it's time to say goodbye. I wave to them as they get smaller and smaller. We loop the loop over the ocean and under the clouds until I see my shed in the distance. Next time I see my friends, I feel so proud. My cat's not like other cats. He's weird and wonderful. I love that. Even though I've heard it a million times, I love that. Okay, so I've had a request from my friend Sammy. I'm not going to tell you how old Sammy is, but possibly outside what would normally be the demographic for this kind of story, but it's okay. She's asked me to read from Roald Dahl's Revolting Rhymes. This edition that I've got is illustrated by Quentin Blake. Of course, you can see how old it is because it's a puffin picture book. There it is in the corner, and it was £3.50. I'm not sure what you could buy for £3.50 anymore. Nothing? One roll of toilet roll? I don't know. Anyway, so it's a very, very funny book, and you can see that I've used it a lot because some of the pages are falling out. That's how well loved this book is. So, as you know, if you've been tuning in before, I love a Little Red Riding Hood version of a story. And I think I'm going to read you two versions of the story today. This is Roald Dahl's take on it. If you are of a sensitive disposition, you might not want to listen to all of it. Okay. Little Red Riding Hood and the Wolf. As soon as Wolf began to feel that he would like a decent meal, he went and knocked on Grandma's door. When Grandma opened it, she saw the sharp white teeth, the horrid grin, and Wolfie said, "May I come in?" Poor Grandmama was terrified. "He's going to eat me up," she cried. And she was absolutely right. He ate her up in one big bite. But Grandmama was small and tough, and Wolfie wailed, "Oh, that's not enough. I haven't yet begun to feel that I have had a decent meal." He ran around the kitchen, yelping. "I've got to have another helping," then added with a frightful leer, "I'm therefore going to wait right here till little Miss Red Riding Hood comes home from walking in the wood." He quickly put on Grandma's clothes. Of course, he hadn't eaten those. He dressed himself in coat and hat. He put on shoes, and after that he brushed and curled his hair, and sat himself in Grandma's chair. In came the little girl in red. She stopped, she stared, and then she said, "What great big ears you have, Grandma." "All the better to hear you with," the Wolf replied. "What great big eyes you have, Grandma," said Little Red Riding Hood. "All the better to see you with," the Wolf replied. He sat there watching her and smiled. He thought, "I'm going to eat this child. Compared with her or Grandmama, she's going to taste like caviar." Then Little Red Riding Hood said, "But Grandma, what a lovely, great, big, furry coat you have on." "That's wrong," cried Wolf. "Have you forgot to tell me what big teeth I've got?" "Oh, well, no matter what you say, I'm going to eat you anyway." The small girl smiles. One eyelid flickers. She whips a pistol from her knickers. She aims it at the creature's head, and bang, 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 she shoots him dead. A few weeks later, in the wood, I came across Miss Riding Hood. But what a change! No cloak of red, no silly hood upon her head. She said, "Hello, and do these notes my lovely, furry, wolfskin coat." Wolf got his comeuppance for me. Should have thought first about going there. Okay, next story. It's written by Sarah Roberts and illustrated by Hannah Peck. It's published by Scholastic. We've been doing really, really well with this at the bookshop because it's all about plastic and how we should look after our world. And I have to say, I think that there are some really, really beautiful, well-written and well-illustrated books out there for children which explain why we should be looking after the planet a bit better. And this one is called Somebody Swallowed Stanley. This is Stanley. He's looking a bit shocked by it all. Should we see what happens to him? Stanley swept into the sea with a splash and a splish. "Perhaps he's one of us," thought the other jellyfish. But his stripes were too straight and his tentacles too few. He just floated in the sea, not sure what to do. You see, Stanley was no ordinary jellyfish. Then something terrible happened. Somebody swallowed Stanley. But who could it be? Her tongue was rough as barnacles, her mouth vast as a cave. As she hummed her low song, Stanley tried to be brave. So who had swallowed Stanley? The creature stopped singing as Stanley slid down her slimy throat. She coughed and spluttered. And then, whoosh! With a rush and a rumble, steam burst from her spout. A whale had swallowed Stanley, but now he was out. Stanley dropped with a splash back into the sea, where he bobbed along gently, calm and carefree, until something terrible happened. Somebody swallowed Stanley. But who could it be? With with a sharp yellow beak and a small beady eye. The creature flapped his wings and rose up to the sky. But who had swallowed Stanley? He pecked, and he snapped, and he nipped, but Stanley wouldn't go down. More creatures flew over, first 2 and then 3. In all the flapping and squawking, they let Stanley be. A seagull had swallowed Stanley, but now he was free. Poor old Stanley was ripped up, scruffy and torn. He sank and he sank and he sank down some more. But something terrible happened before he reached the sea floor. Somebody swallowed Stanley again, but who could it be? Her paddle-shaped flippers skimmed the seabed. She had a beautiful shell and a small wrinkly head. So who had swallowed Stanley? She gasped and she spluttered, and then she started to choke too. But Stanley was stuck without much he could do. A turtle had swallowed Stanley. The creature was scared and swam quickly to shore. With Stanley stuck in her throat, she couldn't breathe any more. The turtle closed her eyes and lay down and sang. But then Stanley heard footsteps. Help was at hand. A kind boy on the beach came and tugged Stanley free. But then Stanley heard, plastic bags don't belong in the ocean blue. Creatures think they're a jellyfish and swallow you. Now with a rope and a branch, he made something new. A kite. Flying high in the air, Stanley soared to and fro, safe from the sea and all the creatures below. Oh, happy ending for Stanley. Okay. This story is called Bear's Scare, and it's by Jacob Grant, and it's published by Bloomsbury. There he is. Super cute illustrations in the front. Very clever Jacob Grant for doing the writing and the illustrations. How are people so talented? Very annoying. Okay. Bear was sure of many things. He was sure that his house was clean. He was sure that his rooms were tidy. He was certainly sure that he took very good care of everything inside. There was one thing Bear loved to care for most of all, a small stuffed friend named Henry. They were always together. Each day, Bear and Henry cleaned the house high and low. They cleaned inside and out. It was on such a day that Bear found something odd. That's funny, said Bear. I'm sure I did not leave any books about. When Bear looked closer, he saw something not funny at all. Bear tried to keep calm. Oh, but the more he searched, the more messy webs he found. Henry, we have a spider problem, said Bear. I am sure the spider is covering our home with more sticky webs. I am sure the spider is making a giant mess with its tiny legs. I'm certainly sure the spider is nothing like us, said Bear. Henry, we must find this messy guest. Bear and Henry searched high and low. They searched inside and out, but they did not find any spiders. You see the spider. This spider is extra sneaky, but it cannot hide from us, said Bear. He sprang up to continue the search when something terrible happened. Bear lay there for some time. My poor friend, I really never meant to make such a mess. Once again, Bear searched high and low. He searched inside and out, He had to find a way to help his friend. When Bear returned, he could not believe what he saw. His dear Henry was as good as new. There, among the books, Bear found something he never expected. He did not mind the spider's sticky webs. He did not mind the spider's many legs. I certainly do not mind sharing my home with one more friend. And that was something Bear could be sure of. There they are, reading the book. You see all the tiny spiders. What did you think of that? I don't know. Okay. I'm going to read you Hansel and Gretel, which you may well know the story, but this one is a little bit different. So this is written, reimagined and illustrated by Bethan Walvin, and is illustrated by 2 Hoops books. It's beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Illustrations are super cool. Well, I do like a book with a dust jacket. It's a hardback. So I'm just going to take the dust jacket off so that I don't ruin it while I'm reading the story to you. Look, even on the cover. Super cool. Deep in the forest lived a witch named Willow. Willow wasn't like most witches. She was a good witch who only used good magic. Willow had even made herself a home entirely out of gingerbread. One day, while out in the forest, Willow spotted a trail of breadcrumbs, which she decided to follow. At the end of the trail, she found 2 children. "We're Hansel and Gretel. What do you want?" demanded the children. "I'm worried these breadcrumbs might lead birds and mice to my gingerbread home," said Willow. "Please, could you help me clean them up?" Hansel and Gretel did not like this idea, so they left Willow to tidy up on her own. But Willow did not get angry, because Willow was a good witch. When she arrived home, Willow couldn't believe her eyes. "Hansel, Gretel, please don't eat my house." Oh, what the children are doing. "But it's so tasty," Gretel said, with a mouth full of gingerbread. Hansel and Gretel must be very hungry, Willow thought to herself, so she invited them in for dinner. Oh, while Hansel and Gretel made themselves at home, Willow used her best and most delicious spells to cook up a feast for them all. Unluckily for Willow, when she got to the table, she found that Hansel and Gretel had already gobbled up all of the food. But Willow did not get angry, because Willow was a good witch. It wasn't long before Willow had more to worry about than her rumbling tummy. Hansel and Gretel had found Willow's spells and wands and began to play with them. "Please be careful with my magic things," Willow cried. But Hansel and Gretel still would not listen. The magic grew and grew. And grew. Wanting the house all to themselves, Hansel and Gretel agreed to get rid of Willow. Gretel pushed the witch into the oven, and the naughty twins carried on filling her home with spells. Awful. Until it was bursting with magic. It wasn't long before Willow's home collapsed. It was only made out of gingerbread, after all. But this time, Willow did get angry. Because Willow was not always a good witch. I think that's a really, really clever reimagining of the story. Brilliant. One more picture book and then a fairy tale. This is called We're in the Wrong Book, and it's by Richard Byrne. There it is. It's published by Oxford University Press. It's been around for, I can't remember how long it's been around for, a little bit. It's a very, very clever book, so you need to concentrate on this one. And I will show you the pictures as best I can, because they're important in this story. So I'll just kind of wriggle a bit and see what I can do. Bella and Ben were jumping down the street from one side of the book to the other. I win. Then Bella's dog joined in and accidentally bumped them both off the page. Oops. Where's my dog? Said Bella. 9 pencils, 10 lollipops. Where are we? Said Ben. 9 pencils. We're in the wrong book. Well, let's jump back into the right book, said Ben. But they jumped into somebody else's comic book. We're trying to get to our own book, explained Ben and Bella. We know someone who can help, said the mouse. Follow us. Ben and Bella described their book to the lovely librarian. It has tall buildings and an enormous dog. I know the book, she said. It's through there. I hope she's right, said Bella. She wasn't. This isn't our book, and that's not my dog. What does it all mean? Asked Ben. I think it says, walk this way. The things just got more and more puzzling. And when Bella thought she had found a path that would lead them back to their book, instead it led them to the door of an old cottage in the middle of a wood. Ben and Bella went inside, where an odd-looking lady invited them to stay for dinner. Thank you, but we really must get back to our own book, said Bella. Ben thought he could see the way back. Suddenly, Ben and Bella were in a book full of instructions. I suppose we could follow them, said Bella. I won't go through all of them. It tells them how to make a really big paper boat. Book ahoy, said Ben. The wrong book ahoy, grumbled Bella, and now we're stuck in it. So they stuck themselves in a hot air balloon as it lifted up, up and away. Next stop, home. The balloon landed in just the right spot. This way, for spotting a very helpful sign. Not a helpful sign at all. We're in a dark, scary book with a monster. I have an idea. Quick, follow me. Rip, rip, trip. And they both jumped through the monster-shaped hole. Yay! Said Bella. We're back in our book. When Ben and Bella came back to fix the hole in their book, there was no sign of the monster. Thank goodness, said Bella. Now, where's my dog? Woof. A very silly one. Okay. Last story. So this is, oh no, you're on the wrong page. I'm going to give you another version of Little Red Riding Hood, because I just love it. This one is kind of the original version, really. So the version that I've got here has been retold by Burley Doherty and illustrated by Jane Ray. Absolutely beautiful. Published by Walker Books quite a long time ago. My children were bought this as a present, years ago. So thank you, Uncle Stu, Auntie Fee and Uncle Matt, who bought it for them a very long time ago. Little Red Riding Hood. I'll take the dust jacket off so that I don't ruin it. Show you the pictures as well. Aren't they lovely? Really gorgeous illustrations. Okay. Long ago, there was a little girl who lived near the woods. Everybody knew her as Little Red Riding Hood because she always wore a velvet cloak and hood that her grandmother had made for her. One day her mother asked her to put on her cloak and hood and go and visit her grandmother, who was very ill. She put some eggs and butter and a cake in her basket. "Run along now," she said. "Keep to the path and don't be long." The grandmother lived in a cottage at the other side of the woods, and Little Red Riding Hood knew her way there very well. She could have been there and back in no time at all if she hadn't stopped to talk to a wolf on the way. But she did. The wolf was watching out for something rabbity to eat, but when he saw the flash of the red cloak, he stopped sniffing the grass and lifted his snout into the air. Now he could smell something much tastier than rabbits, a basket full of cake and eggs and butter. He licked his chops and stepped right into the middle of the path and waited for Little Red Riding Hood. "Where are you going with that basket full of good things to eat?" he asked her, making his voice as charming and gentle as he could. "I'm going to my grandmother's," said Little Red Riding Hood. She knew she wasn't supposed to talk to wolves, but he was polite and softly spoken, and besides, he had spoken to her first. "She's not well," she added, to be friendly. "I'm sorry to hear that," said the wolf, sniffing at the cake. "Perhaps I'll call on her myself. Where does she live?" "On the other side of these woods," said Little Red Riding Hood, "just by the nut trees." "Perhaps I could carry your basket for you," offered the wolf. He could run off with it, he thought, and guzzle up the cake in no time. It made his snout tickle just to think about it. But then he heard the whistle of the huntsmen, and he decided to keep out of sight. Also, he had thought of something much tastier than butter and cake. "Now, why don't you fill your basket up with bluebells for your grandmother? Step into the woods and you'll see them, my dear. What could be a nicer present?" "That's a good idea. Thank you, Mr. Wolf." Little Red Riding Hood stepped off the path and went deeper and deeper into the shadowy woods, where even the birds stopped. Straight away, the wolf ran like the river to the grandmother's cottage, sniggering to himself all the way. He knocked on the door, tappity tap tap, and he heard the old lady call out, "Who is it?" "It's Little Red Riding Hood, grandmother," he said, as light and sweet as he could. "Oh, lovely. I can't come to the door, my dear, because I'm in bed. Lift up the latch and come right in." And in went Mr. Wolf with his long, wet tongue and his sharp yellow teeth, and his eyes as bright as knives and forks, and he gobbled her up in one gulp. But a skinny little grandmother isn't enough to keep a wolf happy for long. He could think of something even tastier to eat. He climbed into her bed and put on her nightcap and pulled shut the curtains around the bed and waited for Little Red Riding Hood. At last she came, with her basket brimming with bluebells. She knocked on the door of the cottage. Tappity tap tap. "Who is it?" came a voice from inside. "It's Little Red Riding Hood, grandmother." "Oh, lovely. I can't come to the door, my dear, because I'm in bed. Lift up the latch and come right in," said the wolf, as soft and weak as he could for Little Red Riding Hood. So Little Red Riding Hood lifted the latch and opened the door. It was all dark in grandmother's house, quiet. She put down her basket by the door and stood with her hands clasped together. "How are you, grandmother?" she whispered. There was no answer, but the sound of snoring from the grandmother's bed. Little Red Riding Hood went up to it and stood very still. "What loud snores you have, grandmother," she said. "All the better to dream of you, my dear. Open the curtains." Slowly she pulled back the curtains round the bed. She could see her grandmother's head on the pillow, with her nightcap pulled round her face. "Oh, grandmother, what big ears you have!" "All the better to hear you with, my dear." "Come a bit closer." "Oh, grandmother, what big eyes you have!" "All the better to see you with, my dear." "Come closer." "But grandmother, what big hands you have!" "All the better to hug you with, my dear." "Closer." "Grandmother, what big teeth you have!" "All the better to eat you with, my dear." And the wolf grabbed hold of Little Red Riding Hood and gobbled her up. Now, huntsmen who had been in the woods happened to be passing the grandmother's cottage, and saw that the door was standing open and heard terribly loud snores coming from inside. He went a little nearer, and he saw Little Red Riding Hood's basket standing by the threshold, full of bluebells and cake and butter. He went a little nearer, and he saw the wolf fast asleep in the grandmother's bed. "Aha, old sinner, caught you at last, have I?" He would have shot him at that very moment, but he saw that the wolf was wearing the grandmother's nightcap. "Gobbled her up, have you? Let's have a look." He took out a pair of scissors and went snippety, snip, snip across the wolf's tummy and saw something velvety red inside. Snippety, snip, snip, out tumbled Little Red Riding Hood. "Oh, it was so dark in there," said Little Red Riding Hood, and out stumbled her grandmother, blinking in the light and glad to be alive. "Let's give the old wolf some proper food." Little Red Riding Hood ran outside and collected stones and put them in the wolf's tummy. She and her grandmother sewed him up good and tight. "Wake up, Mr. Wolf," she said then. When he woke up and saw the huntsman and the grandmother and Little Red Riding Hood all standing around him, the wolf jumped out of bed in fright and tried to run away, but the stones were so heavy that he fell down, dead. It wasn't a very happy one to end on, was it? I'm sorry. Okay, that's it. Our time's up. Read all of the stories that I've chosen for this morning. It's lovely to see you all. Have a brilliant day. Make the most of the sunshine if you can get outside into your garden or your balcony or just outside your front door for 5 minutes to breathe it all in. Take care of yourselves. Have a lovely bank holiday weekend. Happy Easter to people that are celebrating it. Happy Passover to people that are celebrating that. Just happy springtime to everyone else, and I will see you next week. Take care of yourselves. Bye. So bad at this.